Hi, how are you? Good. Have you been here before?
Yeah.
Sir.
Okay, I wanted to talk about this case or this situation because I have a unique perspective because I used to work on a crisis line and I experienced this behavior a lot from men. I can't speak from a woman because it never happened. These men would call into this line. I'm doing my job. I am, excuse me, I'm assessing for unaliving potential. And you're having a normal conversation, then all of a sudden they break out into this very sexual tone, the deep breathing, the moaning, all of this stuff, and sometimes you could even hear them self-pleasuring. And what we were told was that we had to create boundaries with them, give them an opportunity to stop, because how we were trained was like everybody has a crisis, even though we don't necessarily consider that a crisis on our line. And this was an independent crisis line. This is not a major line. Even though we don't consider that a crisis, to them that may be their crisis, is that they, put two and two together. And it would be very disturbing sometimes because some of them would get to the point where they're so good at concealing it that you couldn't really tell. I found myself just feeling really disgusted at times with that behavior. Of course, once we did set that boundary and they didn't listen, we hang up the phone and we continue on. But some of them were so good at it that you didn't realize maybe until 5 minutes, 10 minutes into the call, whatever. And it's just it's really weird. And it's like, why, out of all the ways that you can go out and seek pleasure, why won't you go out and do that in a normal way? And we can easily say that, but a lot of times these people have fetishes, or they have anxiety, social anxieties, or they're just incels kind of in that genre, or they're not confident enough, or they've had issues getting women before that have caused them to kind of divert to this behavior. And yeah, it's a really uncomfortable feeling. It makes you feel violated. I felt that way a lot of times. Yeah, and of course they would be fishing. So if there were males online and they were heterosexual, they hang up the phone with the male, call back and see if they can get a female or a woman or whatever. And yeah, and it would start off weird. Like sometimes they would be like, say this again, and you're like, huh? And that's when you would start to be like, okay, I see what you're doing. I'm going to put my boundary down. Hey, I understand that this may be a crisis for you, but that's not what this line is for. If you want to speak to us, you're going to have to stop doing that. And we can talk about other things, but we can't provide that type of service for you. And so that's kind of how we had to address that issue. But I just thought I'd share my opinion or my perspective on it, because yeah, it definitely can kind of be out there and kind of considered like a mental health kind of thing. But yeah, these people can be disgusting, and it is disturbing and violating.